Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's on DisneyPlus.com, and this week I'm be doing another live Q&A. So big hello and welcome to everyone watching either live or after it's already aired, and a big thank you and welcome to all of my YouTube channel members and patrons. Thank you for your continued support. As per usual, this is a members only live stream, so any of the YouTube channel members can join in on the live chat right now. You become a member by just a couple of dollars a month and just click that little join subscribe button on the bottom of the YouTube, and you can become a member and join in on the fun. You can also send in the super chat functions, all of which help support the channel, the website, etc. So all of that makes a massive difference. But I also like to put this like live stream out to everybody so they can all join in. There might also be a gift option as well where you can gift membership. Not quite sure if that's working. Might need to have a look, see how all that works. So lots of questions here already coming in. So you'll see people already dropping in. We've got Sosuna, Noxwave, Baba Trolling, Keenan, Khalid, Miles, and Matt. Hello and welcome to all of you. Hope you've all had a fantastic week. So as I said, each and every week I do this one here. And also earlier today, I did put up a video for my YouTube channel members and patrons where I reviewed Predator Badlands a little bit. And I have just recorded a new one for Zootopia 2. So that will be going up next Sunday. So I'll watch that this afternoon, but don't want to get too much more into that one. Another thing I've watched this afternoon was I finished off the first season of Fallout because it's been on YouTube. I don't have Amazon, but they put them out for 2 weeks. So if you haven't, I think it's only got maybe another week yet. If you haven't seen Fallout, and I know I should be promoting Disney Plus stuff, but seriously, if you haven't seen it and you haven't got Amazon, get over to Amazon's YouTube channel. Maybe just wait till after I finish. When I finish, then go over there. Anyway, let's jump into it. As you might expect, lots and lots of questions today regarding the big change at the CEO. I was going to do a video about this. I was like, how is this going to work? And then I thought, in all fairness, you guys, you members, you absolutely did what I thought you would do. Loads of questions, and I thought, actually, that kind of makes a lot of sense. So, nevertheless, let me know what you guys think. Do you think this is a good move with Josh DeMario? I think that's how you say his name. Is going to be the new CEO from the end of March. Iger is going to be staying on until the end of the year in an advisory role. I still think he's probably going to be around in some form or another on the board or something like that to kind of keep an eye on him, always watch him. But also in some ways I think that's a good thing, but I can also see how that might be a bad thing. They need him kind of gone in order for Josh to feel like he's in charge and for him to allow a little bit more space. But we did see how that went with Chapek last time. So nevertheless, Miles asks, what are your thoughts on the new leaders? I wish them success. So I'm going to, like I said, we've got lots of questions similar. So I'm going to just start off with my initial thoughts because there's quite a few of them. Like Baba said, what are your thoughts about the CEO from the Parks Division, etc. So I think this was the move we could all see coming a mile off. They have been kind of setting the seeds for a while. Josh has been appearing on lots of different things, lots of different events. He's been kind of Bob's shadow for a while. And I think this is a good. He's been with the company for 27 plus years or something like that. He's worked at the theme parks. Now, I think the reason why he got picked was right now the theme parks are more important than the entertainment business, and he knows that business better than Dana knows entertainment, and she was probably the second running. And even though they said there was apparently 100 people in the running for it, I think it was very similar that it was basically going to be one of these two. I think I was wondering whether or not they were going to go with a co-CEO system, and apparently Disney did explore this option, but they decided to go with Josh at the hot top. I think the reason is that they wanted someone to be able to have like a final say, rather than if there was a problem of one wanting to go one way, one would do the other, it kind of left in turmoil. This way they can kind of go left or right. So I think that was probably a good move. I think Josh being in charge is probably going to be for the best in that way. But they also did give Dana a promotion. She is now the president of Disney Entertainment. She is now in charge of all of the entertainment side. So she got a pay rise and she got a new title. And now she's no longer kind of she's ahead of Alan Bergman now. So she is the head chief at the entertainment side. And I think this is probably a good thing for her. she has stepped up. She has got a, it wasn't like, oh, well, we know we don't want this. Like, no, 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 we want you around. We need you around, and we're willing to pay you around. But, and I think it makes sense. And I think Josh and her have probably got a good relationship. And I'm hoping in some ways, if he lets her have control of the entertainment side of things, that might be where let her run that division, let her run all the TV and the movies. I mean, he's still going to have an input. He's still going to have some part of that, but I think it was probably the better move out of it all. Josh has worked with the theme park division for a long time. Arguably, you could say it has been very successful, the amount of money it's bringing in. Now, obviously, there was a lot of bumps during the pandemic era, and a lot of people obviously complaining about the price of the parks and everything. We went through that stage where the parks were kind of getting a lot of stuff taken away. A lot of that seems to have come back. Whether or not that was to do with the return of Iger, whether or not like Chapek was putting pressure on Josh, like we need this, we need that, because there was still, Josh still had Iger or Chapek as in charge. So I think it's a good move. I think it's going to be a little bit more stable. I don't think Josh is going to be making any major. He's talked about wanting to take risks, but I think he's going to be much more in line of keeping things steady, keeping things moving forward. I do think he might take some risks with Disney that people might not be. I think the one risk he's going to do a bit more of, I think he's going to get better, and I think they're going to go into games. I think they're going to go after video games a bit more. That's the one I think is the area he apparently pushed for the Epic purchase with Iger, and I think Josh might be, obviously if he's a bit younger, might be a bit more clued in with video games. He seems to be very much into tech and Imagineering, and he wants to take risks, and I think video games might be that risk where I think they could kind of do something with. I think with theme parks, and they might do new. I don't think there's going to be anything groundbreakingly different. Obviously, they've got the new theme park being built at Abu Dhabi. Whether or not they crack ground on start planning for a fifth gate at Walt Disney World, I don't know. That might be something he wants to do in the long run. But I think it's a good move moving forward for that. Kayla says they announced Josh as the new CEO. Does this remind you of when Esna was CEO and Welsh was president? Yeah, and I think this is a good thing. I think there might be a good way of them having a little bit of just having, that's my division, that's your division. Josh is still in charge, but you might be able to kind of go, look, I leave you with the movies and the TV. I mean, he's still going to have an input. He's still going to be showing up to premieres. He's still going to have, if there's a problem, he's going to have to deal with it. And he can obviously, have the ear of Dana and go, look, I think we might want to do this. He's still going to be part of it, but he's probably better off letting Dana have a little bit of rope. Bubba says, what are your thoughts on the CEO being from the parks division? Again, right now, theme parks and entertainment and theme parks and cruise lines and things like that, that is where Disney is making more of its money. It made sense to go with the division that is bringing in the most money for him to understand that one. Bubba says, what do you think? Kind of went into that myself. Keenan says, so I could name Josh as the new CEO of the Disney company. Do you think he'll be a great CEO, or will he be like Chapek? I think he will be better at Chapek, because I think he will have learned from Chapek. And that's the key difference here is Josh is probably, he needs to have a few months, 6 months, getting a feel for it, finding out what's going on, not making any big changes. Apparently he has a lot more personal style. He's liked by more people. The fans are much more likewise a little bit more interested in him. And I just think in general, I was lucky enough to see him on stage do a presentation for the parks at D23 in 2022. He has the charisma, which I think is Chapek didn't have, which is going to make him a lot easier and more presentable when he pops up on YouTube or when he pops up on interviews, etc. He's going to have that little glimmer in his eye, which is going to help. Obviously, we've got D23 this year. That's probably where you want to make his mark. But yeah, I think it's a good step forward. Whether or not he's going to be the greatest, who knows? Hard to tell. What's he going to be like in 5 years, 10 years, 20? But Iger was around for a long time. Is he going to really invest in the video game section? Is he going to continue to invest even more in theme parks? Is he going to go even more in on Disney Plus? Is he going to right, okay, we're going to sort this out and we don't know what his ideas are, and he might have his list of list of things that he wants to do, list of things that he wants to change. And again, but he has to be careful. He can't go too quickly, too fast. Because Chapek made some big, he went too cheap, Bob Chapek, and Josh saw the effects of that. And I think Josh, I have a lot more faith in this. Might be a little bit not. It might be a bit. I would say not necessarily bumpy. I think it's going to be quite a smooth, and he's not going to make any big, like, sudden movements for a while. He might not even ever make a big move. He might not ever have that kind of, Iger buying Pixar or Star Wars or Marvel or 20th Century. He might never do that, but he could be someone that maybe buys EA. He could be someone that turns around and goes, right, we're going to make our own studios and we're going to invest. Who knows? He could be like that, or it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. Let's see what we've got here. Caleb says Josh is the first Gen X. Yeah, it makes sense. He wants to invest more in games since he likely grew up in the Atari and Nintendo. Well, technically, I do slide into Gen X by about a year. So, yeah, I grew up on the Nintendo and Atari, and look how well I turned out. Yeah, so it's there is going to be that thing of I mean, Gen X still could be 10, 15. I don't know how old he is. How old is he? Josh DeMario. He's 54, so he's 10 years older than me. So, but he would have been a teenager when. So yeah, he would have grown up probably with a little bit more video game stuff, and with kids, etc. I think he's probably a little bit more in line with it. Knoxwaves hopes that he'll be a good CEO and better Chapek. I think, in fairness, Chapek set the bar pretty low. Miles says, likewise, could Jimmy Kimmel conduct Bob Iger's exit interview before? Well, he's not leaving until he's leaving CEO, but he's not leaving Disney until the end of the year, so he's going to be around for a while. I don't think he will do, because the thing is like CEO and Bob. It's not really. I wouldn't really think of it as a Kimmel kind of interview. He's I don't know. There's a kind of thing like us Disney nerds might know about it, but probably most people couldn't care less. Keenan says there was a commercial for the Winter Olympics during Shifting Gears and Abbott Elementary, which is interesting since they own the rights. Well, I suppose it's whoever's paying for it, because that's all that matters. Kelly says, to answer the question of the headline, there won't be any immediate changes in the short term since he advised not to rock the boat early on. However, Woden serving as president, there'll be a cohesion and collaboration not since the days of Esler and Wells. According to Woden, as president is a good move to complement. Yeah, I do think 100% there. And he also said that you're hoping that they learn from the mistakes of the Chapek era, since he didn't have a president to lead the creative side. Yeah, and I think that's a good thing. I think Dana kind of running the entertainment side, which is probably going to have much more impact on Disney Plus and how all that operates. But again, we don't know what their views are. Josh might have some different opinions on how he wants Disney Plus to be than what Iger did and what Chapek did. We don't know. That might come through. He might want to merge stuff together. He might want to separate some bits and pieces. He might not want some elements of the business in there. Who knows? It's very difficult, I would say, for that one. Carrying on with some other questions here. Public says, who do you think will succeed Josh and Dana in their current roles? Well, I don't think Dana's job is not going to be. I don't think she's not really being replaced. She's been given a promotion. I don't think because I don't think she will get. I don't know. I don't necessarily know if they will bring somebody in, because Alan Bergman will just be the whatever his role was. They were a joint person, so I think she might still stay there. Kelly says, what are your biggest takeaways from Disney's investor call? In fairness, it was a very quiet investors day. There wasn't really a lot of news. We had obviously the CEO kind of rumblings, and that kind of dropped the next day. We had a little bit of rumbling about the NFL, but they never even put out an official press release on that, which was interesting. Nothing really with Fubo. The Q&A was a very vague kind of, there was a few rumblings of like, well, we're going to merge in Hulu, but we're kind of doing it, but it all one unified app and blah 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 blah. It was not real, and it might be happening by the end of the year. There was definitely a case of, oh yeah, they ain't doing the Disney Plus and Hulu thing until December. That's the way I took that. Yeah, that was how I looked at that. There just wasn't a lot. Did anybody else have any takeaways? It was a very. I mean, we're not getting any more quarterly results. We now no longer know how many subscribers they'll have each quarter. That's gone. So we can forget about knowing that unless they hit a big number. But yeah, it just seemed a bit flat. The numbers went up a bit with the CEO stuff, but yeah, it felt a bit quiet. It didn't really feel like there was a lot to talk about. Which, in fairness, is probably what we want from an investors call, where they put out the financial results. There's a couple of little nuggets of information, and then we move on. It shouldn't. I don't think I think coming out with big news statements is fine sometimes, but it makes sense more with a business side of things. But it can kind of overshare if there's any other problems. Baba Trolling says, what are your thoughts on Bob saying that people could go to Disney Plus or Hulu on their own in the new app experience? What does he mean, a new app? So this is where there's a lot of confusion about what I think he talked about this one unified app, and some people have misunderstood this, some people have misconstrued it, some people are just straight out just misinforming to make money. The trouble is when I think with Disney is they do this, they've done this so many times of they refer to they almost get like project names, and it's like a project launch, and they get a little bit caught up in that, and kind of they're trying to hype it up as this one app experience, and it's Disney Plus, just that you're going to have Hulu will be a part of Disney Plus in the same way that ESPN Unlimited is it can be part of Disney Plus. And there's that whole thing of, well, you're still going to be able to get a subscription. It just sounds to me like they're going to be doing a bundle for a while. And I think, well, if they're not going to be merging Hulu into Disney Plus until December, that means the whole of next year they could carry on having the dual system and slowly get people over. Also, Iger has got a great get out clause, because now Josh can come in and be like, no merging. And therefore, Bob didn't they've got this get out clause now, because now it'll be like Josh can come in and change the plan. And what Iger said was true when he said it, and that was his plan. But Josh, I don't know. I just think there's a little bit of. I also think Disney liked this bundle idea, and we do kind of have a similar system here. Now TV, you have the entertainment bundle, and then you can add on movies and sports, and that might be how they're looking at it with Disney Plus, where you get Disney Plus, or you get the Hulu, and you can get ESPN, but it's all in one app, and you just pay for what you want. Very complicated, very weird, but Disney does like to do things quite slowly. And again, they're also trying not to lose any Hulu subscribers as well. So they're going to try and kind of keep everybody happy. It's a very weird little thing that's going to happen with that. Miles says, with Super Bowl taking place this Sunday, what film trailers or TV spots have been confirmed to appear on the big game, either from Disney? I don't think we know necessarily if there's any official ones. I've been hearing lots of rumblings on like some of the big trades. Toy Story, Hoppers, The Mandalorian and Grogu. I think that's it from the Disney side of things. There's no Marvel ones. There's no Avengers or Spider-Man. They're sitting out. Again, which makes sense. Hoppers is out next month. Toy Story is out in June. Mando is out in May. This is what you want to promote. You want to promote the movies that are coming out in the next few months. There's no Avengers doesn't need $1 million advertisement for now. They need to promote the movies that are coming up next. I think sometimes people get way too running forward. And also, I think as well with these trailers, I think a lot of the studios have realized that releasing the big trailers sometimes doesn't help. You get lost in the shuffle. It's like, say, for example, like the recent He-Man trailer. Like, if they drop that tonight, they might get the word of the buzz for like a couple of minutes. But then if some weird, kooky little like ad comes up after it, it loses all of that buzz. There will be news trailers dropped, no doubt for sure. But again, I just think a lot of this is. I think we're seeing them shift away a little bit from it. Whether or not we see a new trailer for Daredevil tonight, whether or not we see a generic Disney Plus Hulu ad, I don't know, but that's what I've been hearing. Babak says, why do you think Disney decided to create a new promotion for Dana, and what was her new role? Essentially, it is a case of they need to keep her. She's vital to the company, and so therefore give her a promotion, give her a new title, give her a new more money, and she'll stay around, because they don't want what probably happened with when Chapek became CEO. Kevin Mayer then jumped ship and started his own company at Candle Media, and they lost him, and they lost all his technique and all his. So this is, to me, it feels more like, yeah, we aren't giving you the bigger jobs, but we are giving you a massive, big, like a big chunk of money. And there's also the other question of where could she go higher? Yeah, she wants the top job. She could stick around a bit, and then maybe if Josh screws up, she can get a job. Babatroni says, some analysts and Park fans say they foresee Josh spinning off the cable business, including ESPN, for the next 6 months. How likely do you think Josh will do this? Right. So I've definitely seen I've seen some of the analysts talking about this. The trouble is with analysts is some of them are very, very, very short-sighted. All they're caring about is the stock price. That's the first thing. They only care about the stock price. They're generally only caring about the investments they've got right now to get more money, and the minute they get them more money, they dump it. They are not interested in the company in the long run. They are often not interested in the long-term plans of the company. Now, whether or not Disney spin-off, so we're seeing it happening with Warner Brothers, we're seeing it happening with Comcast. If I was Disney, if I was CEO, I'd be looking at what's happening there and going, right, how are these going to perform? What do they do? How can they help? Do we need to do something similar? Now, whether or not Disney spin off ESPN, I don't know. I think it depends. It feels very much the opposite right now. It feels like they're incorporating ESPN even further into Disney because of what they've been investing in and what they're doing, the launch of ESPN. It feels like they're actually ramping up ESPN. Now, Josh might have a view that, okay, cable television is dropping off. We need to start having an exit strategy. But there's also, and the assets are maybe not valuable. Who knows? He could sell off some of the channels. He could get rid of them. But he might also be like, look, okay, let's just keep rolling with this right now. I think ABC is still a useful tool to reach a big audience in the US. Now, whether or not Freeform and the cable, but they're also going to be quite unlike having the cable money coming in. There's still a lot of money coming in through this. Are they willing to drop that just yet? I don't think Josh will be wanting to do that. Again, I'm not expecting any major changes for multiple years. Again, he might look at what's happening with the other two companies, and then they might make decisions on whether or not it makes strategic sense to offset them and get rid of them. Alternatively, they are essentially devaluing assets. But is it better just to keep making the money out of them while they can? The shift from, I think, the point of view of linear and streaming might be something that they need to do for years, just to kind of get people off from one to the other. We've seen obviously that with American Idol. That might be their strategy. Who knows? We don't really know and I don't think we're really going to see what's going to happen with Josh, like you said, for at least until next year. Miles says, do you think the premieres of Psycho Killer, Hoppers and Ready or Not might be the next big red carpet where we see the incoming leader take their debut? I think they'll be there. I mean, Dana's probably going to start popping up at all of these things anyway. She will be at all of these events. Josh, who knows? He might let her have them for a bit. He might not want to overstep her. Let her have this bit of space. Keenan says, will there be changes to Disney Plus every year, even after Disney Plus and Hulu merge into one app? There will probably be continuously updates to the apps as they run through. Tim says, what movie trailer should Disney release during the Super Bowl halftime? So I went through that. Bubba Trolling says, with Dancing with the Stars and now American Idol being live on Disney Plus, what other shows do you think Disney needs to air live? What other shows do they have live? Because again, I'm obviously not being in the year. I'm just trying to think. They don't have a lot of live shows, do they? ABC News is already live. I mean, again, I would like them to have like things like Grey's Anatomy. I think all the shows should go up on streaming at the same time as they air on linear, or go up in the morning and they're available. But in terms of live shows, is there very many? There's not. I don't feel like the only thing really is it feels like a few of the live big events like the Oscars, but then that's moving away from them anyway. Bubak says Ready or Not isn't on Hulu in the US. Do you think they'll add it before the sequel comes out? Probably. I'd imagine they would do. Tim says, what do you think the Muppet Show? What did you think of the Muppet Show reboot special? I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. I did do a full review on a video earlier this week. I thought it was great. Hit the nostalgia, was aimed at adults. I thought there's a lot of great stuff in there. It seems to have done very well with viewership. A little bit of backlash with there being a few kinks in there, with parents not quite grasping the fact of it's on at 9 o'clock at night, folks. It's the Muppets, and there's a little bit of innuendo. But obviously, innuendo doesn't quite work nowadays for some people, because it's just like they understand it, but they don't realize the kids, and it's like, yeah, whatever. Matt says, "What did you think? How do you think Disney Plus would do this year among other student services in terms of bonus?" I think there's always this like weird thing with students discounts. I think in some ways it makes a lot of sense to have student discounts. I think the big one for me for the US primarily is having a student discount because of adding a secondary home for when the student goes off to university. I think that would be a good PR thing for them to do, in terms of adding, you can add a student for like $1.99 a month. I think that would be a great little add-on to encourage Disney Plus use for the kids when they go off to uni. I say kids, we're talking about 18 to 20 plus year olds. They are adults. You look at the amount of debt that people are paying for and like getting into for going to college and stuff. Can't help but feel like, if you are a major corporation going, these people are paying tens of thousands of pounds to go to university. If they can spend that much, they can spend $100 a year on Disney Plus. There is that counter argument of like, they're adults. Why should they get? I personally think a student discount is a good way of getting good PR. Especially, I think doing the add-on option of a parent's account. I think that needs to be tightened up and made a bit better than the current system is. Same thing like with a parent having, dual custody. Or the system in place at the minute is a bit bumpy and doesn't quite feel fair in some ways. So I think I think they should just do like, we can add a second home on much cheaper, $1.99, something like that. Other questions coming in. I wonder what Bob Chapek's doing now. He's living on an island, crying his eyes into this big amount of money. Keenan says, what do you think Josh is going to do as CEO? I think he's going to invest heavily in video games, but he's also probably going to just be, I think he's going to be quite safe for a while. I would like him to make some bigger decisions on some of the Disney Plus stuff to kind of sort out some of these, I would say, little just start treating Disney Plus as an equal to linear. That would be, I don't even want him to, I don't even be like, right, okay, flip this priority from linear to streaming. Treat them both the same would be great. That would be a big step. And just kind of treat that your audience that's on streaming is different to your and treat them both like equally. Babatron says, what do you think is going to happen to ESPN under Josh? I'm not sure. I mean, it depends whether Josh is a big sports guy. I'm not, I don't know. He might see a lot more value in it, but again, it's his executives are going to all be in his ear giving him data and stuff. Keenan says, one thing I noticed when they mentioned they lost money from the YouTube TV dispute, hopefully this serves as a lesson not to play hardball during carriage disputes. I think this can go two ways. Yes, they lost money, but did they lose more money in the long run? What's the long-term gain? What's the long-term loss? At some point, Disney did have to play hardball to make sure that YouTube didn't just railroad them. And I think the trouble is for Disney was with the addition of Fubo and Hulu Live TV. They're in a bit of a weird situation of they own a competitor. I don't know. I think personally, this whole linear system is a very weird system where it's so legacy titled and so like weird of I don't know, very, very odd little thing. Caleb says at the end, advertisements during the Super Bowl is getting more and more expensive each year. Yeah, and that's it. Noxo says, I hope we get a new Daredevil Born Again Season 2 trailer because the first trailer looked amazing. I don't know if they'll do one tonight. I think it's too expensive. Kelly says, I don't see Disney spinning off the cable business, yet some linear channels complement the streaming. Yeah, I think those four channels, ABC, FX, Disney Channel, Nat Geo, ain't going anywhere. I think definitely Freeform and some of the smaller ones probably could go off. Keenan says CMA events is one that I'd like to see live on Disney Plus. There are lots of shows they could simultaneously live, but they're just too lazy. I don't know if it's about laziness. I think some of it is the contracts that are currently in place, how much it costs to do it, whether or not the audience is there. Personally, I would say anything that's streaming live on ABC would make sense to be on Disney Plus at the same time. And if you've got like CMA awards or those kind of things, it would make sense too. However, it depends on what their current deal is. If it's costing, if they say the current deal doesn't allow for it, and they go to CMA and go, we'd like to stream it on Disney Plus, and CMA go, yeah, you can have it for $1 billion, and they go, yeah, it's not worth that. Then it makes sense why they say no. Miles says, beside video games, could he potentially launch a 20th century animation as its own production under the Walt Disney Studios as a success of Killers? Again, it's not going to be Josh. It probably won't be Josh's decision. It'll be Dana's, because she's going to be running the entertainment side. So it'll probably be more. I think it would be a good idea for 20th television. I would love them to just embrace 20th television or 20th century as a bit more of a brand. It feels like it got a little bit. It doesn't get the same respect like Marvel and Star Wars does. I know. I would really like them to start really utilizing 20th century as the adult hub, that kind of thing for me. Knoxway says that HBO Max is officially releasing in more countries in the UK. Is it coming next? I know it's coming soon. HBO Max UK release date. March. I'm not gonna lie. I really struggle with the idea of like what HBO Max offers that I could already get on Now TV, and is it really worth it? And also, I'm at this point now where it's like, well, if it gets folded into Netflix, it's like, is it really worth it? I don't. There's not really enough on there to subscribe to. I think again, it gets to a certain point of how many subscriptions can you have? I have Disney Plus, I have Apple TV, I have Netflix, I have the BBC, and I have YouTube Premium, and I have Warhammer Plus. There is only so many subscriptions that you are willing to pay for, and I think everyone gets to that point. Bubba Trolling says, do you think that Disney will remove the included in your ESPN or Hulu subscription label under the title and play button to unify the feeling of the new Disney Plus? No, because they are going to need to sell you the bundle. So they're going to need to have some way of letting people know that you might need an ESPN subscription to have access to the sports. The Hulu side, I hopefully would like them to merge that two together anyway. But it makes sense to kind of keep that separate. Mahmoud says, when Disney announced in August their plans to merge Hulu into Disney Plus, many outlets mentioned that both will still be available as separate subscriptions. What do you think of the plan? I think they are right in the fact of they did. It's been nearly, it's been 6 months since they announced the plan. It doesn't look like it's going to be changing until at least the end of the year. So that could be November, December. They are still keeping the subscriptions running, and they don't want to lose any subscriptions. They don't want to lose people. And then they can and also, as I said, Bob now has the great option where he can go, that was my plan. Josh has changed it. Josh's decision now comes in. Josh has made the decision to merge it. And it's on Josh's shoulders then, rather than Bob. So that's something. Matt says, what do you think of the Muppet special? Do you think it will get more in the future? I would love there to be more specials. I said this in the video. I think Muppets needs to be a special coming back for like the holidays or something like that. Some people just kind of said, no, it should be a series. It should come back all the time. I think the trouble is if they do it all the time, it's going to lose that special feeling. Keenan says, how interesting is it that American Idol is simultaneously live on Disney Plus and ABC for the first time? I think it's a great step forward for Disney Plus. I think it's great that they're doing this. I just wish they'd done a little bit of foresight of just going, when American Idol came back, they were like, American Idol is now on both. And all the episodes like started in January to March, they should have all been going to Disney Plus. They should have just gone in and gone all in on it. And it feels a bit like, it's not we need to do something with it. It's not quite hitting right. It feels, I don't know if this is a reaction because it's not hitting where they wanted to, but it also feels a bit like short-sighted of kind of, why have we not had the ones from started in January, all the auditions? I don't know. It was a bit weird. Last of the pre-done questions, and then we'll be live for the rest of the show. Kevin says, what commercials are you looking forward to from the Super Bowl? So this is the weird thing, is obviously like for me is the Super Bowl. I might try and catch some of the highlights tomorrow, but I don't watch it live. I'm not staying up late to watch it. I have done it in the past. It's just like, I find as I've tried to get into American football, but I find the sheer number of adverts and breaks painful to watch live. It's just so dragged out and slow. And I 4-hour Super Bowl. It's like you could get this game. It's like I enjoy playing Madden, the Madden video game, and I like watching the 40 and 40 highlights or the 6-minute like YouTube clip of all the best bits. But watching games live is so slow. And just like, oh, now we're going to another ad. Now we're going to another ad. Now we're going to another ad. It's like, oh, Pete's sake. And the Channel 5 show that they do it's just, some of it's so lame. And I think that's, for me, is the problem with ads. And so the problem with the Super Bowl ads is there's a lot of them of stuff that we don't even have as a product over here. So therefore, tomorrow I will go through. It's probably tomorrow afternoon. I'll go through and see like when Deadline or some of the ones online go, here are the top 10 funniest adverts of the year. I mean, I saw the Jurassic Park one. Oh, it was all right, but I don't know. There's always some fun ones there, but again, a lot of the products don't exist here in the UK, so it's a little bit like a car insurance company that it's like, it doesn't really matter to me. But I will check them out just to see what all the the conversation's about. Okay, so if you've got any more last-minute questions, feel free to pop them in. We've kind of run through the questions. I think because we've had so many Josh DeMario questions, it was kind of like we kind of were able to cut through them. So if you've got any questions or you've got a super chat or anything like that, now's the time to put it in. Let me know what trailers do you expect to see during the Super Bowl? Is there any adverts that you should recommend? Miles says, do you think that 20th Century brand will be better utilized by Josh and Dana as an adult-focused brand like they're touched on? I think Dana, obviously coming from Fox, she might have a little bit more of a better kind of, she might be able to push it a bit more. I hope they do. I do feel like there's a little bit of argy-bargy between some of the brands here, like ABC, FX, 20th Century, Hulu. It's a bit like there's too many of them. While I get FX, I don't know. It was funny because it was like today I was at my in-laws and my wife sort of turned to like my mother-in-law and stuff, and we're like, "Oh yeah, Hulu's got. There's a lot of great Hulu stuff." So it was quite nice. My wife had clicked on to the fact that it's the Hulu side as the stuff, because she's always said she likes the Star Hub. Well, now she's calling it the Hulu Hub, which it was, and I've obviously that was quite. I was like, oh, okay. I noticed that. Ricardo says, I think having two different heads is the best for Disney now. One can handle the meetings and the other the creative part. Well, I mean, she's still going to be in a lot of meetings, but I think just letting her run the entertainment side is good for Josh to be able to. He has to be able to separate up and like letting her run it. There's probably going to be a new business guy in charge of parks coming in, and he's probably, I think, got the harder job, because then Josh is going to know what because Josh needs to step in some ways, needs to step above that and let somebody else run the parks. Noxo says, when do you get the 4th installment of Star Wars Tales? Maybe, I would imagine around May 4th would be about make sense. Kayla says, outside of the Disney CEO news, this has been mostly quiet outside the news about the FanDuel RSNs being shut down after the immediate NBA NHL season. It's been a very quiet couple of weeks. Especially very noticeable that there's not been a huge amount of news. Yeah, it was a bit like we had a flurry for about 2-3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then it kind of filtered down a little bit. A couple of days, I was like, oh, I got too many stories to do videos over. So you might have noticed a few extra videos go up. But I have been trying to be like, no, hold the story, hold it. But yeah, it's a bit of it's been a bit of we're definitely in an era where we're getting a lot less Disney news. Disney's obviously, I think, much better at not pissing people off. That's helping. Disney's putting out less. They're only really having one big movie or 2 movies a year, or not a year, a month. The Hulu and Disney Plus stuff is much slower paced. Where they're kind of focused on different shows at the time. I think there's enough coming through, but we're definitely in a much quiet. I've definitely noticed a massive just reduction in just information coming out, which is what we expected, and it's not, and they're probably going to get even less. The less Marvel, less Star Wars, less Nat Geo, less ABC, less FX. We're just seeing less across the board, which gives everything a bit more room for everything to breathe a little bit. I do find that that's something that's a bit better with like less shows coming out. Things have got a little bit more room to breathe. Ricardo says, could we expect a full Malcolm and Middle Life is still a bit, or will we stick with that 30-second teaser? I wouldn't be expecting one till March. Again, with TV shows and specials, there is no point in them going too early. They're better off holding everything until much closer to the time. Caleb says, I remember Brody Basil said that the sports teams are going to undergo a transition period where they go from guaranteed cable rights, the over-the-top hybrid. That's where ESPN direct-to-consumer comes into play. Yeah, I think that is the big thing as well, is a lot of the sports companies got used to having all that income. And now they're going to have to be trying to get Netflix and Amazon and ESPN and NBC. They're all going to have to be trying to get them to compete against each other for streaming rights. But I think the whole RSN model it's dead. It's an old system that the sports companies don't want to. They still want that guaranteed money coming in, which it might not go in that same way that it used to, and we might start seeing sports teams having less of a budget if the ticket prices and stuff keep going up. Barbatronic says, how likely is Josh will undo the Hulu and Disney Plus like David Zaslav is doing with HBO Max, and how Josh is different than David? I don't think ESPN on Disney Plus is going anywhere. It's vital for them. Having the sports integrated into Disney Plus as a one unified app makes complete and utter sense. The reason HBO Max is on boosting everything is because essentially Netflix is buying HBO Max and somebody else is going to be buying Discovery Plus. So they had to separate it because there's going to be different owners. ESPN, I think, is vital to Disney's future. To be able to compete with Netflix and Amazon, Disney needs a sports division. Disney Plus needs a sports section, and ESPN is that. It just makes total sense. As I said before, whether or not ESPN fully gets integrated into Disney Plus as just one subscription, I'm not sure if they'll do that. But it's not in the short term. Okay, so speaking of flurries, New York areas get some quite snow squall following the Arctic blast. I remember Weather Anchor mentioned she will motorway layers inside the 7 Hudson on her Instagram stories. Yeah, it looks like, I think we're going to be it's going to start getting cold here next weekend, because usually it depends on which way the wind's blowing. But obviously, if it goes from New York, if it's cold and the wind's blowing across the Atlantic, it will warm up as it goes across the Atlantic, but we can still get a bit of a bump afterwards. Or it goes the other way, where we just get blasted rain. Miles says, in the weeks before the start dates on March 18th, do you think that Josh and Donan will meet Disney creators such as Pixar, Marvel, and Star Wars, to name just three. He's probably going to have meetings with them, talking to them, working out what they want, how he can help them, what he's got ideas for them. Maybe I would. I mean, if I was Josh coming in there, I'd be like, right, okay, I want to have some meetings. I want to talk to you guys. I mean, he should probably have already, now he's got the role. I would be like, yeah, let's have a chat. Let's have some meetings. Let's have some lunch. Let's go. He needs to spend time with everyone, knowing that he's in charge. And again, not ruffling any feathers, because he's got to be careful. But yeah, I mean, I would expect him to be doing stuff like that. Ricardo says, just recently on Latin America, Buena Vista International was reborn, replacing the Star distribution, which itself was rebranded from Buena Vista. The Star brand is slowly going. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Star brand is something that essentially the Reliance Limited company owns. And so it would make sense to slowly pull away from using the Star brand. So yeah, getting rid of Star distribution and rebranding it Buena Vista International, it just makes sense. Makes sense on so many different levels. Kelly said it's smart to have ESPN on as an add-on for Disney Plus, since folks are getting ESPN Unlimited bundled to compete. Yeah, and I think that's the bundle. They love that bundle. Aaliyah says, hi, with Disney Plus and ESPN, your only question observation is it becomes complimentary or not? Or will they reduce their price for the unlimited tier or set the other? I do think that ESPN Select, or what was ESPN Plus, will probably eventually be sucked away. I think that will go. Most of it will probably get, because you've got to imagine, if you've had, let's say there was 1 million ESPN Plus subscribers, how many of them have upgraded to ESPN Unlimited or have cable where they now get ESPN Unlimited? So the big thing is how many of them have already upgraded, or how many have done it? Because if you get from that 1 million people, let's say, for example, on a really good get, 100% or 90% of the people that have moved up from ESPN Select have now gone to ESPN Unlimited. You'd be like, well, if nearly all of them are doing this, it makes no sense to offer the cheaper alternative. Let's get rid of it. Again, take their time. Let people move over slowly. Don't make any big rumblings. That's what I would do. I would be looking at the numbers going, right, okay, well, when we reach a certain, like 80%, then we can flip the switch and do it. But if they're at a point where only 20% of ESPN Plus subscribers have upgraded to Unlimited, then you can be like, the audience doesn't want to pay this much, so we need to have 2 tiers. So it's going to depend on the numbers. Right, final call for questions. Final call. So again, this week coming up on the channel, plan is news story every day, as long as there's some news. Got trailer review for Rivals tomorrow. That's the news for tomorrow. There will be a review going up midweek for a new series. I need to watch a few more episodes before I do my review. So that will be coming out, I think, Thursday. I think that is. And again, that's going to be the thing. Next week, there'll be another Q&A on Sunday. And yeah, so that's it. So again, just waiting to see if there's any last minute questions come in before I wrap it up for the day. There's a lot of Josh stories, which is why I thought would happen. A poll at the minute. 79% of you think that Josh would be a good choice, which is good. Kayla says, I hope that Josh utilizes the ESPN Wide World of Sports complex to have more events. Yeah, I mean, that was a good thing as well. I think just incorporating more sports into Disney World is a good thing. Babatron says, what asset is Josh most likely to sell? They have been selling a lot of stuff off. I mean, I'd love them to sell off the Freeform channel. That would be nice. I don't know what kind of things they could sell off, really. I kind of feel like what they've got now seems to feel about right. Keenan says, will Toy Story 5 be the last Toy Story movie? Nope. None of it makes money. Aaliyah says, do you think Josh will revitalize the worldwide world of Disney as an intro host? Maybe. Again, the question is, how many people are watching it? Does it really matter? Oh, Kelly says, imagine having NXT tapings at work. Yeah, that would be great. A&E. Very good. Very, very, very good. That's a very good one. Yes, 100%. That asset. I'll nick your idea because it's really, really, really good. That's the one I'd get rid of. I would either, the way I would do it is I'd either sell off their ownership or say to Hearst, you have A&E, we have your 20% stake of ESPN. That would be out the other way because Hearst, who owns half of A&E, also owns 20% of ESPN. As far as I'm concerned, A&E is pointless. Get rid of it. Yeah. So no, totally agree with that one. Right. On that note, guys, thank you very much for all of your questions. I will be back next week with another live Q&A. A big thank you again to all the YouTube channel members and subscribers. Thank you so much for your continued support. And again, check out my latest video, which is the Predator Badlands review, which went up earlier today. Next week, you're going to have Zootopia 2 as your exclusive review video. And on that note, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you guys soon. Laters. Peace out. Toodaloo.